Welcome to FiST Chat, your source for news and discussions in film science and technology, hosted by Steve Kern and Ben Warner. Visit our website at fistchat.com. Hi there everyone, and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast where we discuss all things related to film science and technology. My name's Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Ben. Hello, FiST Chat fans. It's lovely to be here once again.
Absolutely. Beaming in from Sydney this time for something different.
In from Sydney, yeah. I just, connected via the phone into the MacBook Pro. That's how easy it is.
Oh, it's fantastic. FiST Chat on the road. We'll just have to figure out a way with all my equipment to be able to go mobile too. Alrighty. Well, we're going to talk tech again. And in light of the fact that Microsoft just released or has announced the Surface Pro 3, and we'll have a bit of a general discussion about where the tablet is, or the modern tablet is currently sitting at the moment. Just looking, I didn't get across all the detail, but from what I saw of the Pro 3, it looked like Microsoft finally got that product right after 3 attempts. They made it, instead of a 16:9 screen, it's now 3:2. There's probably a reason why it should be that kind of size, and they seem to have done a lot of interesting things with the kickstand and the keyboard, so that it's a lot better to use just in different configurations. And it also seems like a very powerful tablet / laptop because the specs are quite high. The only thing that I noticed that may put a lot of people off is the price, because it's not the cheapest tablet hybrid in the world from what I could see. But what were your impressions, Steve?
Well, I think Microsoft comes under a lot more scrutiny than a lot of other hardware makers. And given that they're sort of only really just moved into that area, I've always liked the Surface. And I think that they, I also like Windows 8. So, but I mean, I think that they've been good products and they're moving in the right direction. And we were talking about this a bit before, but, I think the priciness I don't like on any tablet. Yeah. But I will say this, the functionality is there. So, I mean, I'd say the Surface, to me, I wouldn't compare it to, say, the AirBook. But it sort of fills that niche in being quite a good unit that gives you that lightweight accessory option, but it has functionality as well, and that's really important.
Well, it was interesting that they were trying to compare it to the MacBook Pro, because I didn't really see the point of that, other than, I mean, obviously maybe the specs are similar, and obviously the battery life's pretty good on them. I think it's up to 9 hours, so that's pretty good for that sort of device. But they're a bit over the shop in the sense that, the earlier Surface models, they were trying to say, oh, they're a tablet, but they can also be a PC. But it seems like this time they're saying, oh, it's a PC, but it can also be a tablet, and it's a bit of their marketing seems to be a bit over, and maybe sending a conflicting message out there as to what they're trying to get at.
Well, is this because, Ben, and you've said this before, but is that because really the tablet's gone nowhere, and really this is your laptop / notebook or whatever it is catching up? Yeah,
well, maybe if we'll segue into that now, just tablets in general. There's obviously news recently. iPad sales are not what people, not what the analysts expected, and just in general, even other tablet brands are seeing some softening in sales. It may just be, quite a number of variety of factors. Everyone who wanted a tablet probably has one, and not everyone is one of those Apple nutters who will line up every single time to get the latest one. Maybe the one they've got is just fine, and they're not interested in upgrading. But I guess the position of what the tablet is and how it functions is probably good to visit that now, because back in 2010, when Steve Jobs introduced the iPad, he positioned it as the device that's in the middle between a smartphone and a laptop. And then with the iPad 2, he was announcing that it was a post-PC device, and in effect saying, we're not that far away where the tablet will be enough for most people. But the thing is, it would seem now, after all these generations of tablets that have come out, we're up to the 5th generation iPad and, all the other ones that have come out, it still hasn't done that. It hasn't fulfilled that promise. It's still not. I guess what the problem is. I mean, we've spoken about this a lot. I know that the iPad or a tablet, any tablet to be honest, because I don't think it'd be that much different. The tablets work well as review and content consumption devices. Perfect for that because the natural it's a natural function to do on those tablets. But if you want to get some serious work done, you'll have a laptop, and it turns out that most people are still opting for a laptop. And they'll probably
functionality where they can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying this before. With all the tech gear you've got there. Really though, with your MacBook Pro or probably even the latest Surface and the top of the range Surface, you're almost there with all your tech gear. You could plug it all in.
Yeah.
And you could just about run the show on it.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's a lot more functional than the latest iPad or the latest tablet or tablet grade device.
Yeah, well, I would have thought, and this we mentioned this briefly last time about that the smartphone is probably the crucial device going forward. It's the dark horse. If you're going to talk about a post-PC device, that's actually the device you should be looking at because that's the one everyone has, and that's the one that everyone brings with them every day.
As well, Ben.
Yeah.
It comes with bandwidth inserted.
Exactly.
Whereas your tablet can, but your laptop doesn't.
Yeah. So if it gets to the point where they're that powerful enough, it may be that your phone just becomes the primary computing device, and then you're just interacting with various different types of screens that it hooks up with wirelessly. So instead of having your desktop computer, you've got your phone just docks with it with a screen, and you can start using it like it's a desktop PC. And it'll probably be more along those lines because the phone is just a lot more portable and more useful to people, whereas a tablet, that's just really another screen, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really, I guess, if you have an iPad, for instance, with the Retina view, what would you buy a new iPad for today? It would be the question, and I think that's the tablets are sort of just stopped dead in their development because they have never offered more than the review mode. And it's nice to see that functionality, though, I think, coming into products like Surface. And I wish Apple would do the same, or maybe just take the lid off the AirBook.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is that, for all the talk of, we've got touch screen devices and whatnot, it still turns out that the keyboard and the mouse are still the most useful for productivity. And I think maybe that's the biggest issue. Yeah, you've got, I was just saying before, I'm trialing the Office 365 subscription at the moment, which is working really, really well. And it lets me manage the installs of Office across all the devices I've got. Now, I've got a fully functioning version of Word, for example, on my iPad. And I can type documents and do the whole bit. It's just that because it's a touch screen, it's a lot slower. And it's not the natural device that I would go to start typing away something, our latest blog or anything else that I might be writing. I'll go to the standard computer for that. But because they're all linked together through the cloud, I can be writing say a blog on my MacBook, and then when I'm done, I just pick up the iPad, it syncs up, and then I can start reading it on the couch where it's a bit more easier to do. So it might just be that as we go along, there's just a convergence of this type of thing. Each of these things just becomes a screen, and we have one device that powers it all. But yeah, it's hard to see seeing the tablet as anything else other than that review and consume device.
So I'm curious about this. Where then do you put the pricing for the range of Surface devices?
Well, that's the tricky thing. I mean, if you can successfully use it as a laptop, maybe they can justify the price that they're charging because it's not a cheap device. But then if you look at how much an iPad costs, they're ridiculously priced too if you look at it. So it's hard to tell. You got to look at what your needs are, and if the Surface manages to cover off the tablet and laptop at the same time, then you don't need to have two separate devices, and maybe then it starts to make more economic sense. Even though if you get the fully spec'd Surface out at $2,000 or whatever it is, you're getting two devices in one.
Well, that's very convincing, though. Do you think? And this is maybe just because Microsoft has a very strong, obviously, I guess business market or business-based market. Do you see devices like the Surface becoming the standard terminal in the office then?
Well, it's interesting. They the word is that, unofficially, that the Surface is actually more aimed at corporate environments, and the reason for that is that IT sections in all these big companies, they're having to spend a lot of money getting their staff a phone, a tablet, a laptop, and the idea that they could combine two of those devices into one might be attractive financially to in a corporate environment. And on top of that, in a corporate environment, they'd be able to spend a lot more money, to buy hundreds of these things for everyone. Whereas the average Joe on the street might not spend $2,000 on this type of device. So it may be that the Surface Pro 3 is actually quite useful in that regard for corporate and business use.
Well, there you go. We'll have to wait and see, hey?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, they sort of announced it as like a guide for other PC makers to follow, and maybe they're not so interested in selling lots of them. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
I think this is the great position for Microsoft, is that if they can lead with the Surface, and it doesn't matter necessarily how many they sell, because if anyone adopts that sort of platform approach, then they'll sell plenty of Windows 8 and plenty of Office 365. So
yeah, exactly.
And that's what they have to do. But by the way, I'm not in the market for anything like that, but I wouldn't mind a Surface. I've been a big fan for a long time.
Absolutely. So just finally, what do you reckon about the tablet, Steve? Do you reckon it's going anywhere, or is it just going to be exactly where it is right now, just getting more powerful, even though we might not take advantage of all that power?
Well, you have to be able to access it. Exactly as you say, I'm not your typical digital user. I don't sit around looking at my own photos through a touch screen. I actually use my iPad as functionally as I can. I use do a lot of typing on it and things like that. But, I mean, yeah, well, if my tablet went down, I'd buy another one, I guess. But that would be the only reason. I don't see any better features. I'm not a huge app user, so tablets are tablets. They're good for sitting on the couch and watching on demand video.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. Alrighty, we might move on to our news bites now, and this film news bite. This is the harsh Kern crowd is coming into effect here. Warner's dumping Gosling's Lost River from DarkHorizons.com, and this kind of became a bit of a story out of Cannes this year, that Ryan Gosling's directorial debut, Lost River, kind of got laughed out of the theatre in Cannes, which, it's notorious at that festival for things like that to happen.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where Warner Brothers wants out. They don't necessarily want to distribute it.
That's not good.
Well, not good for his directorial career anyway.
Well, it's very unfair when somebody makes a film and, people take it the wrong way. I think it's unfair for the director. I don't think it's unfair in the scheme of film. I mean, everyone's a critic these days, right. So like it, hate it, you're free to your opinion. but you would hope that the studio wouldn't run 100 miles in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly right, because
it's the real kick at the guts.
Yeah, good luck getting funding for the next one.
Oh. Dear. It's unfortunate. I mean, obviously, I'm saying the films, I can't comment. Do you know anything about it, Ben?
No, I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't, inspire confidence at any rate.
But it doesn't. We've seen this sort of thing before. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad film. It just means for whatever reason it's unmarketable.
Yeah. Yep. And and in today's environment, that's actually quite a tough proposition because
that's worse than a bad film. A good film that's unmarketable that's a shocker.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't sell it, so we don't know what's so bad with this film, but it might just be it's pitched at 75-year-olds. It's probably got the greatest story ever, ever told. Probably one of the best films ever made. But like the age demographic's all wrong.
Perhaps some reshooting and recutting is going to be along shortly.
There's no merchandise attached.
Yeah, that's right. No one's wearing a superhero costume. All right, we might move on to our science news bite from Discovery News. Alien life discovery could happen within 20 years. That's it's quite interesting. We're always interested in that sort of thing here. There's always been a lot of work done to investigate whether there's life elsewhere, and I guess it's happening in two fronts. Obviously, there's the exploration of Mars and inner planets, and trying to find, I guess, microbial type life, and then there's also that grander scheme with SETI and looking for intelligent life. But the idea that it could happen, in 2 decades is quite amazing. If they think that they're that confident it could happen.
I think, it's an interesting premise, this, but I think what they're actually saying, and it probably doesn't come across in this, is just that they're improving the technology and they are improving their knowledge of what we're looking for. So they will find it because our ability to find it is increasing all the time. So every extra probe we send to Mars, or every extra telescope we build and point towards a constellation, et cetera, improves our probability. So yes, that's basically, it's linked actually to our ability to handle big data through especially astronomy, and the fact that we'll probably have the capacity within 20 years to look far enough out there, or to send robots into the solar system to find life. So it's imminent, and it's going to be shocking. Although I will say this, they didn't sterilise Curiosity properly. I don't know if anyone's picked up on that.
Okay.
And it's taken a number of microbes to Mars. So if they've survived the harsh outer space journey to get to Mars, then who knows what's going on Mars right now. We might have taken life to Mars.
Some seeds may have been planted then. All right, and finally our tech news bite from CNN. Google leapfrogs Apple as most valuable brand. Well, I guess that argument's settled for now. Google is more valuable than Apple. At least that's the assessment of an annual study by Millward Brown, a communications company that ranks Google as the world's most popular brand, topping Apple, which had held the top spot for the past 3 years. That's still not going to change, what all the fanboys think as to who's best. But, does this really matter? I mean, one will go over the other and whatnot.
It does if you're an investor.
Is it it's just bragging rights for the next year?
Probably. Yeah. They're both big brands. They're both great brands in their own way. Does it really matter to the consumer? Probably not. But, if it was predicting a long-term trend, that would be interesting. But we'll have to wait and see.
I guess we're still early in that cycle anyway, because really the modern tech giant in terms of the post-2000 era, all of that's still in Wild West country, really. It's only now that, for example, a lot of devices are maturing, so it may be another 10 years before we know how everyone's going. Oh, well, they'll just all of them will just become bigger and more powerful, I'm sure.
That's right.
All right, we might wrap it up there. So thanks again, Steve, for the chat.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, FiST Chat fans. If you happen to be in Melbourne and you're a Doctor Who fan, the Science of Doctor Who, I think, will be playing in a couple of weeks at the Malthouse Theatre. So go and look that up. It's got lots of good science, lots of good Doctor Who bits, and lots of good fun.
Absolutely. Make sure to check it out. So don't forget our website, fistchat.com. You can get all of our links there. You can subscribe to us and get all of our social media and all of that. We've got our ebook, The FiST Report, at fistreport.com, hosted on Amazon, only 99 cents per copy, and we've got two versions there. We've got our weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr, and if you think anyone is interested in our weekly discussions on film, science and technology, then feel free to send them to our website. We'd be greatly appreciative of that. So that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.